Okay, lots of ground to cover this week. Almost 24 and a half hours of work in the shop this week with the holidays, so taking advantage of some PTO. At the very beginning of the video, you saw Emily helping me rivet the last few rivets for the leading edge ribs. They were just too difficult for me to get to with one person. Here I'm reinstalling those J channels that I talked about leaving out last week, getting those installed now that the leading edge structure is done. Installing those was easy. There wasn't anything terribly challenging about that. It was all pretty standard issue installation, so easy to get to, easy to do. Momentarily reconfiguring the shop so that I can make way for the leading edges to get those fitted up to the main spars and get those installed with all the last bits of riveting that goes into that. Here momentarily you'll see me take a pretty significant detour. I started realizing that stall warning device that goes inside the leading edge on the left side is going to be extremely difficult to get to if I riveted up that leading edge on the left side. The only access that you have is inside that access panel, and I did not want to go through the access panel, so I finished all of section 19, which is that stall warning device, and got that installed inside of that leading edge. You can see me over there on the bench getting that done. It was a whole lot easier to get installed now as opposed to later, and I went through the instructions to make sure I wasn't going to make myself a world of hurt later. Here momentarily you'll see me doing some surfing on my phone to be able to get access to some of those pull rivets that are inside the ribs. You don't need the extra tools, you just need to spend a little bit more extra time researching and being creative and clever with how you actually use the tool and what the access for the tool looks like to get those pull rivets installed. So it's doable, it just takes a little bit of creativity to get that done. Used a squeezer on the back side of the wing, the underside of the wing, to get those rivets installed that were easy to access. There's no brainer there, very, very easy to access, and the squeezer was the right tool to get that done. Once I was done with the squeezer, you'll see me spending some time preloading some rivets so that Emily can come out. She can help me with the last bit of the riveting to be able to get the top of the wing skins done and the top of the leading edges done. So there you see Emily helping me out, getting those last bits of rivets installed so the leading edges are 100% complete, and getting that knocked out and done, moving on to the next step. Once the leading edges are done, you'll see me and Emily move the wings over to a single workbench so that I can make way for reconfiguring the shop again to start building the fuel tanks. Standard deburring and devinyling, just getting everything cleaned up and ready for the what I'll call the fab process of actually putting everything together and dry fitting everything. Here you'll see me fabbing up, deburring, and finishing up the tank stiffeners, the attached Z's as they are called, as well as the J channels, and getting those ready for the dry assembly for the fuel tanks. Once I pull the skins out here momentarily, you'll see me using a soldering iron to basically leave as much of the blue vinyl on the outside of those tanks as I possibly can. I like to protect the pieces that are all clad as much as I can to make sure that I don't ding those up or scratch those while I'm still in the build phase. My plan is to leave those on for as long as I possibly can and just peel them off before the first flight. I don't see any reason in taking them off between now and then. Using the same jigs to get the skins formed up for the tanks as I used for the leading edges. Obviously they take the exact same shape, so there's no sense in cutting new jigs, so I just set those aside when I was done with the leading edges and plan to reuse them for the tanks. Clecoing in the stiffeners, the ribs, and the J channels. I will take note and say that the ribs were pre-fluted, but I did not pre-flute them enough. These things were extremely tight and very difficult to get in there, so when you are fluting these, take the time to make sure that those things are dead straight so that you can get them formed up as best as possible. Once I got done with the ribs and getting those fitted in, I started to fit and drill the J channels. Nothing terribly complex about those J channels. It was pretty straightforward there. Now this one seems very stupid now, but I did not realize that the flanges for the fuel tank filler caps go on the inside of the tank, not the outside of the tank. I was damn near about to start cutting out tank skin material, but I'm really glad I didn't. I went ahead a little bit and did some research to figure out that those actually go on the inside, so lesson learned on my plate. And then the last bit of this is me just fitting up the nut plates for the Z clips to get those attached and put the tank baffle in, and then the last bit of this is just doing a whole bunch of match drilling and getting ready for the next step.